Hi, my name is Dr. Kate Ringham and I'm the Programme Lead for Applied Accounting in Oxford Brookes Business School at Oxford Brookes University. And this video looks at primary research and what you need to think about if you're thinking about conducting primary research for your research and analysis project, which is part of the BSc in Applied Accounting. So what is primary research? Well, primary research is where you collect information, data, to answer your research question. So the data you collect is specifically for the purposes of the research, and it's usually involving questionnaires or interviews. The information pack details what data is needed for different topics. So it's very clear whether or not we expect primary data to be collected or internal information to be used to help you answer your research topic. And I'm thinking particularly here in terms of topics 1, which involves budgetary control systems, topic 6, motivation of employees, possibly topic 9, looking at implementation of an IT system. So please do look at the information pack available on the ACCA website or on Oxford Brookes web pages to make sure you understand whether or not primary data is an essential requirement for the topic that you're interested in. So if we're collecting data to answer the research question, we usually do this via questionnaires or interviews, and just please be aware within the pandemic to collect your data safely. So if you're under any sort of restrictions, any government guidance about contact or meeting, then please consider collecting your data remotely. It's perfectly acceptable to use an online questionnaire, and it's perfectly acceptable to conduct interviews via video conferencing, Zoom or WhatsApp or whatever. So please make sure you're safe. Before you start collecting data, you do need to get permission. And what we mean by this is that you need permission from the organisation that you are involving within your research. Now this might be a line manager or a senior manager who agrees to the fact you are undertaking research in writing, and we call this the permission letter. So you need to ask a manager in the organisation whether it's acceptable for you to conduct the research, and ask them to confirm that they are happy with you conducting the research in a letter, with ideally on headed notepaper, so it's evidence it's coming from the organisation, and you include that permission letter as an appendix in your submission. Sometimes organisations are worried about confidentiality. And just to reassure organisations, research and analysis projects are not published. They're not placed in the public domain like a PhD thesis or anything like that. They are seen by markers, moderators, and possibly the external examiner. So you can confirm to the organisation that there is very limited numbers of people that will be looking at the research and analysis project. If the organisation continues to have concerns and wishes to remain anonymous, then please contact me on acca@brookes.ac.uk. You will need to provide me with evidence that you have permission to conduct the research, and then I will confirm via email that you can treat your submission as a confidential submission, and therefore a permission letter is not submitted. Instead, you submit the email that I have sent to you. Participants also need to give permission, and we talk about informed consent. So this means that participants know what they're getting involved in terms of the research, and that they freely give that permission. And participants can withdraw at any time. So the concept of informed consent is very important in research. The sample is all the people who might be involved within your research, and the respondents are the people who actually respond to your possibly your questionnaire or are involved in interviews. Now, if you wish your respondents to remain anonymous and you want to use the interview data by way of using quotes from the people that you've interviewed, then it's perfectly acceptable to label your respondents as R1, R2, etc. We don't expect a response rate of 100%. We fully anticipate that when we send out questionnaires, not everybody is going to respond, and when we ask people for interviews, not everybody is in a position to respond. Okay, so we don't expect a response rate of 100%. And then we need to think about, well, what questions to ask in our interview or our questionnaire. And this is where we link into the idea of accounting models and theories. So when you think about your research question and the organisation and the issue you're investigating, you're then thinking about a model that helps you understand what that research question might lead to. And that, if you like, is the theoretical position. So when we apply the model to the organisation and think about the issue, we will get a theoretical position. And then we collect data. So that's where we actually go and ask questions, through a questionnaire or an interview, and we actually collect data from the organisation and from real people. And then we're in a position to be able to compare our actual position to our theoretical position, and this is where we're able to demonstrate the skills of analysis and evaluation. And this is where we're really beginning to highlight where the actual data maybe differs from the theoretical position, because it's very unlikely that everything will appear as it does in theory. So I hope you found the video on primary data useful. And in terms of what you need to be thinking of next, well, think about access and permission. Do make sure you look at the information pack. There is a suggested structure for primary data collection, and there will be a video on models and using theory. So please do subscribe to this YouTube channel to make sure you don't miss any of the future updates.